Howdy, Pilgrims. Welcome back to Venture Pill. Great to have you back for yet another dose. This week, we're actually switching things up. We're going to talk about some updates between Sam and I's life and just talk about our plan moving forward here.
Yeah, we got some exciting news as well to highlight Interplay Learning, which just recently announced some new funding. For those that don't know, that's the company I've been working for 5 years now. So it's been quite a journey, and we'll get into a little bit of the update there with the round, an acquisition, and the plans ahead for Interplay. Excited to mix things up this week and dive on in.
Yeah, man, exciting stuff. Proud of you, partner. Let's get into this week's special dose.
Here we go.
You see here, kid, you gotta just go for it. Don't think about what comes after or what came before. You just gotta bend your knees, take a deep breath, and jump.
This is Venture Pill, your weekly dose of startups and venture capital. We break down recent startups in the news and interview founders and investors to help you stay informed in the evolving world of venture.
Okay, so this week we welcome the Pilgrims to a bit of a mix-up. We kind of have some updates we wanted to go through as Brandon and I are entering new chapters in our lives. Many of you know each of us moved out of Austin a few months ago. It's been quite a transition for us, and we've wanted to keep the pod going. And obviously we love Venture Pill, the community of Pilgrims, getting together every week to go through and find the most innovating companies. But we're thinking that we're going to ratchet it down a little bit with everything that's going on, and Brandon being in business school. So you may not find it's going to be a weekly dose every single week like we've done for, 137 straight weeks?
137 straight.
Yeah, so, that's a proud accomplishment of ours, and I think it was a really good forcing function for us to get together every week, and the accountability that really fed the growth of this podcast, and we love looking back on that. But I think at our core, we can still accomplish our goals of providing the Pilgrims with the most innovative companies out there, doing interviews when we can, just not every single week. I know that some people are going to be a little bit sad,
Yeah. No, I know my mom and our other loyal fans will be devastated by this news. And I know you and I have taken great pride in keeping the weekly streak going. But yeah, I think, first of all, long distance relationships are tough. And wouldn't recommend it. And you and I both have discussed how it's just being in person and being able to feed off each other's energy in person is just a different feeling and brings a different excitement to the show. Not to say that doing it virtually hasn't been great, and we've become pros at that as well. But yeah, as you said, and I'll just start segueing into kind of some life updates and why we're ratcheting down our cadence here. We did a reflection episode not too long ago. So for all of our loyal listeners who definitely listened to that one, you might have already heard this, but I recently started a part-time MBA program at NYU Stern, and I'm also doing full-time work. And so just finding that with those two, along with just the general move into New York City, it's been hard to carve out time. And I know you're feeling it too on your end, partner, and I'll kick it over to you for an update on your side shortly as well. But really, yeah, just juggling all of it. We want to make sure that what we put out in Venture Pill is still the top-notch, high-quality content where Sam and I are fired up and giving our best every episode. And I think we just realized that at least for this transitory period, it might be easiest to ratchet back the cadence again. We're not going to disappear. It's just the proud streak of 137 or now 138 might eventually, come to a close, but Venture Pill will continue on.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think everybody listening would support that. And it was something that was a hard decision for us to come to. And I feel like in my head, it was like, gosh, like the only two options are keep going every single week or stop entirely. And then when we talked it through, it was like, well, wait a second, what about in between? And, making it fit our lives a little bit better. And like you said, the quality, I think we'll be able to really pick and choose the best ones, mix in some interviews when we can, and really just lower the burden on us. We're doing all the editing. We do every single thing. This is our time outside of work and spending time with family and friends. Of course, we enjoy it, but it was getting to be a little bit more with everything that was going on. And Brandon, you're busier than ever trying to find an apartment, trying to figure out school and juggle that all on top of a full-time job. So that's certainly demanding. So I feel good about where we're at. And of course, we always want to be open with the Pilgrims. This is something we do on the side. We're passionate about. We love doing it. So we're going to continue doing it, just adapt, kind of adjust the sails a little bit, if you will.
Yeah. No, yeah, it's a good point. And it's really, I don't want this to sound like a pre-breakup preamble here, but just to reiterate, it's been such an incredible experience. This whole podcast experience I leveraged it a lot in my applications to business schools. Like, it's been one of the proudest and most fun experiences. I know I'm speaking for both of us in that regard. It's our entrepreneurial baby. Still is, still always will be our first start, at least in the entrepreneurial space. But yeah, kind of having to prioritize and juggle a lot of time commitments here. Sam and I are getting older. Life's getting a little busier as we move on here. So yeah, but just really grateful to you, partner, and to all of our listeners out there that have allowed us to build VenturePill from nothing to what it is today, with hundreds of startups that we've covered and dozens, about 50 interviews and awesome people that we've met along the way. Like, it's been such an incredible experience, and one that we don't want to end. We're not ready to, fully break up with each other yet. I don't know if we ever will be.
Yeah. So if you wake up one Thursday morning and you don't see it, don't be too sad.
Yeah.
Just expect that, there will be a Thursday soon after that you'll see a new episode. And of course, we got a lot of great episodes that if you haven't listened to them all, especially the interviews, those could be good ones to look back on. But we're going to keep it rolling and feel really good about where we're at with that. And if anybody has any questions, feedback for us, just feel free to reach out. We're pretty open to that, excluding your mom and my dad. We need to hear from them.
They know where to reach us easy.
Yeah.
They have mainline connection opportunity.
Exactly. Yeah. But sort of rounding out this week's special episode, it felt like a good opportunity to highlight Interplay Learning.
Yeah.
Now, I mentioned Interplay a handful of times over the course of doing VenturePill. Of course, we've interviewed Doug Donovan, our CEO. Mm-hmm. That was episode 56, I want to say, back in February of 2023.
Yeah, our first in-person interview. Absolutely.
First in-person interview. It was awesome. And I think it's also worth mentioning we interviewed Charlie Plochet, who is a longtime mentor of mine and a board member of Interplay, back in maybe like the fall of 2022, somewhere in the 30s range. Those are both some cool episodes. We talk about Interplay in both. And I've mentioned them here and there as whenever we talk about education or labor shortage or workforce development, any sort of education related technology. I'll often just add in a little tidbit about it. Yeah, hey, remember I work for Interplay Learning. It's kind of my realm. And today, the exciting update, or really last week, on Thursday of last week, we announced a new funding round led by Goldman Sachs's Inclusive Growth Fund. So Inclusive Growth Fund is actually a relatively new fund. I think they're still actually raising and closing it out, but they've deployed some of the capital into a few companies already, Interplay being one of them. And we'll link it in the show notes, but you can check out their philosophy on investing is within the broader impact categories that Brandon, you and I love to talk about. Mm-hmm. Things like sustainability, workforce development. There's a few others, but of course, Interplay fell into this workforce development and education segment. And so, I think Goldman Sachs sees this broadly as an opportunity to deploy capital with this double bottom line in mind. If you look back to Ron Levin's episode with us, an interview with one of Alumni Ventures managing partners, he talked to us about his theory on why investing in impact is not only a good thing to do, to put dollars to work to make an impact in the world, but also a smart financial decision and a strong investment thesis, that in doing so, you can generate a strong return. And so that's what Goldman is leaning into with this round and investing in Interplay to support the development of a skilled trades workforce that is retiring out, and there's not enough people coming in to really whittle it down. So we can get into more of the details and what they saw and the plans moving ahead. But yeah, it's a really exciting time.
Yeah, no, incredibly exciting. I saw your LinkedIn post and we immediately got in touch with each other, but that is so awesome for you and the whole team at Interplay. I'd say I also always enjoyed hearing you weave in some Interplay mentions whenever we covered like skilled trades startups, which were far and few in between, but definitely whenever they came up, you had some expertise to rely on and weave in your personal experiences. Also got a little sentimental there thinking about all the people from our companies and friends, mentors, strangers, like close friends that we've interviewed and gotten close with along the way, part of the Pilgrim family forever. But yeah, let's get a little bit more into, or I'll ask a couple questions out of curiosity here about this exciting update, the round led by Goldman. Are you able to share any of the specifics on the round?
So I'm trying to learn as much as I can about it. I don't even know many of the details yet. Of course, I'm scratching and clawing, asking my VP of finance, like, "Hey, what are the details here?" But it's still early. We may surely find out sooner or later. The main detail I can share, in addition to Goldman leading the round, is there's also an acquisition that Interplay made, which kind of came out of left field, but makes a lot of sense, and I think was a long time in the works. And this is a company called ITI. Industrial Training International. Now, this is a training company built for the world of cranes and rigging. So think about any large enterprise company in manufacturing and construction. They use cranes to build stuff. And it happens to be that those are expensive machines. Those are extremely high-risk machines to operate, and therefore safety becomes a big concern. Training becomes really a big investment in making sure that equipment isn't broken and that people don't hurt themselves. And so ITI has built a strong business of in-person training. They've got 5 training centers or 4 training centers around the country in the world. They do a lot of in-person training for that. And they serve an industrial market that Interplay is extremely interested in breaking into with the growth of our catalog, growing from the small business, the medium business, kind of the residential world into the commercial world, bringing more skilled trades training from residential to commercial. And then the next step is industrial. And with this acquisition and the integration now of ITI and all their amazing people, all of a sudden we have a brand new company that's working to combine forces to serve the industrial market with our training online and their in-person training. They do also have some virtual training and VR simulators, which are pretty cool. So you're seeing a really cool marriage of technology and in-person training with not necessarily a tech company. This is an in-person training organization that has established great relationships with their clients over several decades. And they're joining forces with what I'll call more of a traditional startup, right? An Interplay that is a software company at its core, but has been serving the same sort of people, the end users, and the same types of companies. So it's a really interesting marriage of companies coming together, and I've already been very impressed with the integration so far, but it's going to be a wild ride with all the new people working together and how we're going to take advantage of those synergies and those opportunities I just described.
Yeah, no, that was a comprehensive breakdown, and that's super exciting that they're joining the team or got acquired by Interplay. Definitely between ITI and Goldman leading this round, there's a lot of cool companies converging here. Yeah. And all of it strong conviction towards Interplay and their future plans. Like, that is so awesome. You've been there for 5 years, which is a pretty rare, I feel like that's a pretty rare thing to say for people in our generation, at least. But you've been there for the ride, and you've seen 5 years of growth and ups and downs and challenges and successes. And it's been awesome being your friend and just talking to you along the way. You touched on some future plans there with ITI. Any other future plans with this influx of capital from Goldman?
Yeah, I don't know as much about like the specifics, other than obviously putting some of that towards the acquisition and towards the integration. You know, there's certainly a cost with a merger, and obviously we wanted some room to be able to work that out over the next several years. I have a really strong trust in those at the helm at Interplay, Doug, our CEO, our board, our finance leadership. They've been working really hard. This is just really exciting. Of course, I'm clamoring for more details. I want to know our valuation. I want to know what the round looked like, just from putting our venture pill hat on.
Yeah.
But this comes after several rounds, certainly ups and downs, but mostly it's been really an impressive growth journey to observe and to be a part of, to observe Doug lead this with purpose and not get over our skis. We talk about that a lot, to kind of navigate the treacherous waters, so to speak, of boom and bust with COVID and markets getting crazy and just venture dollars going every which way. It was really impressive to see how Doug and our leadership and our board navigated that, to put ourselves in a really solid position now here looking ahead, and all these challenges ahead, but massive opportunity. So couldn't be more excited. I put in my LinkedIn post, the last 5 years have been great, but I really couldn't be more excited for the next 5.
Yeah.
It'll be a totally different experience, but it's going to be wild.
Yeah, man, it is so exciting. Like, I am so excited for you and to hear about what the future holds. Curious to hear, I mean, I can imagine or I can infer, but what's the general communication, as much as you can reveal, around this big step? Like, I can imagine there's a ton of excitement, but maybe some people don't like change, right? There's a lot of change, and with change comes some fear. So what's the gist of how everyone's feeling?
I would say generally it's been really exciting, and obviously a lot of unknown. And it's important to note that we have a really similar outlook and mission. And that is kind of building these better careers and better lives for the skilled worker. In doing so with technology and really strong training, we have core values that are certainly shared. So I think that makes things easier, but not necessarily easy or simple, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be very interesting. I never really thought we'd acquire a company before we were acquired. So that was a cool twist and turn of events that I didn't see coming. And we don't cover too many acquisitions on this show, but it'll be a really cool next couple of years. That's for sure.
Yeah, no, 100%. I'm thinking back to our interview with Doug, a good 80 episodes or so since we did that. But I remember we spent a good part of the conversation talking about company culture and how do you maintain it as you continue to grow. And I have full faith in Doug and the whole team, really, that it'll be great. But yeah, I'm curious to, check back in with you over the next couple months or weeks even, and see how you feel the culture may have shifted. Maybe it's, obviously with a growing company, sometimes it's hard to maintain a certain culture, but at the same time, like, the family got bigger, it could be an even better culture.
Yeah, could be. Is it safe to say you'll be keeping tabs?
I will be routinely keeping tabs with you, partner. I'm truly so excited again and interested to see how this works out. I don't have any close friends that I know that have had a startup like, a similar situation to what Interplay is going through with fundraising and acquisition. So it's also just so interesting for me to learn through the lens of talking to you.
Yeah, I would have never thought I'd be in sales, be at a company like this, going through any of these experiences. But I think it just goes to show that if you get involved in the world of venture, it will pay you back at some point through experience, potentially financially, and in so many other ways. So very proud to be a part of Interplay, and I feel very lucky to be at a company for that long, when I know most people our age are bouncing around and might be struggling. So I'm grateful. I'm doing everything I can to excel in my role and ride out this journey as far as it'll take me. So yeah, let's keep VenturePill going and see if we can keep it going as long as Interplay gets to its acquisition or its IPO. How's that?
That sounds good. And we will have for sure a comprehensive update if and when that eventually happens. But yeah, any other updates you care to share, Sam, in terms of outside of the scope of this Interplay update?
No, I mean, just trying to get as much out of this experience as I can. Of course, now I'm in Chicago. So that's a big change in my life, but that's going home. So, that's a fair bit of comfort, and I feel like I can really lean into the career opportunity ahead of me, and of course, keeping this going and staying in touch with you and meeting more people through VenturePill. That's still, obviously a top goal of both of ours. So we're figuring it out, man. We're in a new phase. It's good stuff. And I appreciate you kind of being curious about what's going on at Interplay, and happy to share that with the Pilgrims. Maybe we'll get Doug on another time, and or Charlie, and or some of the other investors. We'll see what we can do there. Maybe when we're in person in Austin, we'll see.
True. Yeah, no, would love that. And I realize you're juggling some ambiguity with the Interplay fundraising round and acquisition, and also some ambiguity on the venture pill front. So I appreciate, we're keeping things suspended in air here, a little bit juggling, but you develop some new strengths when you're able to navigate ambiguity and kind of stay flexible, figure things out along the way. And I know that's what we'll do here with Venture Pill as well. But again, super happy for you and the whole team, and excited for the future. Keeping tabs for sure.
Keeping tabs. Those are some tabs. Well, all right, partner. Good episode. A little bit of a mix-up. Kind of fun to just keep it conversational. Normally, we got ourselves like a detailed outline. We've done a lot of research, but for this one, we could go off the cuff and just chat, which feels pretty good. So maybe we'll mix in more of that as we grow and evolve. But yeah, excited to keep this thing rolling, and appreciate your partnership as always, and the Pilgrims for sticking along the journey with us through thick and thin.
Yep. Appreciate your partnership, partner, to the Pilgrims for sticking with us. We will see you next time.
Peace out. Thanks for listening. Join us next week for another dose of startups and venture capital. And as always, we appreciate our Pilgrims spreading the word about the show. Share with your friends and help someone else make the pilgrimage. See you next time.
She told me that she only bumps my music when she's lonely. Thinks my vibe's a little low-key, okie dokie, that's alright, but